Greetings, my name is Josh, and this is the Stormcrow Show, a place where we discuss a variety of nerdy topics, including Rooster Teeth's show known as RWBY, other things such as Magic the Gathering.
Josh!
What?
They're bringing core sets!
Core sets. Like the thing that Elizabeth Swann wears in Pirates of the Caribbean. But why should I care?
No, Wizards is bringing core sets.
Oh, so like Core Tribal, like Core Firewalkers coming back?
No, like core sets, like M13, M14, Magic Origins, core sets.
Oh, ooh. Does that mean that Lightning Bolt gets a reprint?
I don't know.
So, well, aside from the fact that core sets are officially coming back to Magic the Gathering, there are several other significant announcements that Wizards of the Coast has made this week. To get right into it, we're going to start off with the ban list announcement from Tuesday. But before we do, I want to mention a few caveats. One, we're mentioning this because it's big news. Brady and I don't really focus too much on Standard. We tend to prefer things like Modern, or formats like Modern and Commander, as well as we enjoy Draft and other sets such as Conspiracy, but we don't usually talk about Standard that much, but it is worthwhile bringing up. The other factor that I think we should mention is that we're just going to give our opinion on a lot of this stuff very shortly. We're not saying we're experts. Feel free to look at other people's videos, such as Wedge from the Mana Source, MTG Goldfish, and others to get a fuller perspective. We'll include some links below. I'm also including a link below of the article of announcements that we do mention, just so you have full context. And with that, Brady, what's your take on the ban of all cards, Aetherworks Marvel? This is the 5th ban in Standard.
You know, I have to say I'm actually kind of glad that they banned it. I mean, I honestly have really mixed feelings because, you know, as we were, Josh and I were having this discussion not too long ago, that I don't know, I feel like part of the thing is that Battle for Zendikar block is going to rotate out, you know, in a few months, and a large part of why Aetherworks Marvel was a problem was because of cards like Ulamog and, I mean, potentially Kozilek. Mm-hmm. But so part of me is kind of like, well, you know, in a few months the problem was going to fix itself anyways. But on the flip side of that, I'm really glad because this really shakes up the metagame, and, you know, it probably does create a healthier Standard environment because of that.
Yeah, I think, and it was interesting reading Wizards' article because they went into great detail explaining why they banned it. They didn't just ban it because it wasn't like dominating the format, but it was just one of those frustrating things where turn 4, pop a Ulamog out and win the game, which is really, that's a modern speed.
Yeah, almost.
That's, I mean, the problem is, of course, there's no modern removal. You don't have cards even like Mana Leak to really kind of suppress that sort of threat, or even Pithing Needle just to say, Aetherworks Marvel can't do anything.
Right.
I will say this, I liked the fact that Wizards actually explained that they tried to think of other possible ways to resolve the problem instead of banning, including they were thinking of actually just adding a card to Standard and making it legal just to resolve it. And one was Pithing Needle specifically.
Yeah.
So I think I agree with the ban was the right call. One quick thought though, I was partially surprised they did ban it because they had banned so many cards. But another surprising part to me is that they didn't unban Emrakul, because the reason why Emrakul was banned was basically because of Aetherworks Marvel. I mean, that was one of the big factors. I was a little surprised they didn't actually just simply, we're going to reverse it. Instead, they just banned another card instead of reversing it. We now have 5 cards instead of 4 cards being banned.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it kind of would have been nice to see Emrakul come back just for a little while, because again, you know, once Ixalan comes out, Battle for Zendikar block and Shadows over Innistrad will both rotate out. So even if Emrakul came back at this point, it's going to be not too long before that card is out of standard again.
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, I think to save time, we'll let this go by. Like I said, others will talk about it. If we see something interesting, we'll try to put it into the link below on the description, just so you can link to it easily.
So the next point that we wanted to cover from the article is actually a culmination of 3 points from the article, was largely about how the new structure of how sets will be released going forward in 2018. Josh, why don't you talk about this a little bit?
Sure. So not the first point, but the big overarching structure is that starting in 2018, there will be basically 3 large sets and 1 core set. So summer will be a core set, and spring, fall, and winter will be large, like expansion sets, like sets we've seen before. And this means that the small sets are being eliminated. And I guess my comment to that is I kind of feel a little sad, because I liked small sets because you got more copies of the same card. If they were good cards, you're more likely to get the same copy. At the same time, Wizards indicated in their article reprints were really hard to do in these expansions, harder than they anticipated. So I think overall, I think that the result is good.
Definitely. I too am also sad about the elimination of small sets, because, like Josh already commented, they're a great place to pick up multiple copies of new cards because the sets are just so much smaller. And also, as we've noticed, a lot of the most powerful cards from blocks have actually been in the second sets. Cards like Fatal Push and Collective Brutality, and
pretty much the entire Eldrazi Winter was created by Oath of the Gatewatch.
That's true. So I'm kind of sad about the small sets, but I've never been a fan of big sets, though I do have to say I really like the core sets, mainly because they've been just such a good place to get reprints, and reprints have been sorely lacking recently. We've basically had to look to supplemental products like commander decks and dual decks and those kinds of products to get our reprints, and frankly, that's just not good enough.
All right, so going on to the Masterpiece series. So Wizards is now going to scale back Masterpieces. They will show up in Our Devastation. I guess there's actually spoilers coming out next week. But beyond Exelon, the next set will not. And then it's going to be, I guess, sporadic, or depending on what Wizards needs. I think Wizards said it has to be something amazing for them to want to do it. So it's something they can use but won't always have available. What's your take on that, Brady?
I think it was the right move. I love opening valuable cards out of my booster packs. I feel like the lands that we got in the Battle for Zendikar block were worthy of the Masterpiece treatment.
Mm-hmm.
But as we moved forward, I felt like less and less that some of the cards they chose to get the Masterpiece treatment were cards that deserved it. So, and that was especially notable by the time we got to Amonkhet, because honestly, out of all those invocations, I really only felt like Force of Will deserved it, mainly because Force of Will is just such an awesome card. It's so iconic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was the right move.
Yeah, in general, I think it's the right move. Myself, yeah, I definitely agree with you. And you're right, it was getting progressively less impressive cards. I think the thing that Wizards may have missed, and if they could go back in time and redo this, as Wedge from the Mana Source pointed out, they probably should have just focused on just a few key cards, maybe a cycle of 5 cards, one of each color. What's the best, or 5 to 10, depending on what type of topic they're focusing on. Is it lands or the like? On the whole, though, yeah, I think it's the right move. I'm glad they're not getting rid of them. I hope this means that they think through how many they'll put into a set, though, too.
Definitely. All right. And then finally, the last two topics that were covered in the article from Wizards was first about R&D, which we're not going to spend basically any time on in this video. We will include a link to the article below, so if you want to check out their article, see what cool things are happening in R&D, feel free to do so. All we're going to say on that topic, though, is that we think that this is going to improve the product and the game overall. So yeah. I think it's good. The other topic, though, is about the storyline and how it relates to the Gatewatch. Josh, what are your thoughts about the Gatewatch and the plans to scale back their level of influence?
You know, it's funny, when this was officially announced, and they had hinted that they might do that because there had been complaints about the Gatewatch just showing up a bit too much. Someone I saw online, I think it was Sivan Lore or Aether channel or something like that, I forget all of a sudden. I'll probably put a link in the description for that one too. He commented that, some Planeswalkers showed up in the storyline and had almost no impact in the storyline. Like Saheeli Rai, was almost like a non-factor Planeswalker in the Kaladesh storyline, believe it or not.
Wow. And
it's just because the Gatewatch has kind of overwhelmed it, even though that's her home plane.
Sure.
I mean, she's also kind of a lackluster Planeswalker, barring the fact that this crazy cat came out and threw things off kilter with that. But, that was a design issue, that was not intended. So I think it's good. It would be nice to get back to find out what in the heck is happening to New Phyrexia. What's happening with some of the other Planeswalkers we know about. What if we go back to Theros and find out what's happening with Elspeth? Those sort of things. So I like that. And of course it fits with the block structure change, which they're eliminating blocks. But now they can go to the world and just, see a new world or an old one that we haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, again, I'll agree with you on this point, is I think it's really good because, to be perfectly honest, I'm kind of sick of seeing the same 5 Planeswalkers being reiterated every couple sets.
Yeah.
I mean, we've gotten so many new Gideons, Nissas, Jaces. I mean, it's just... I'd like to see Garruk again, to be perfectly honest.
I know.
I would love to see Garruk again. So, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and actually the Garruk storyline has never been really resolved. I mean, even though it actually involves Liliana, so I'm actually kind of surprised that he hadn't shown up earlier anyway.
Right.
Well, I think we're getting low on time here. Again, as we always say, feel free to leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, is this a good change? Is this a bad change? What do you like? What you don't like? Again, as we would say, be civil. And please like this channel and subscribe. That helps us out a lot and lets us know maybe what's important to you as far as what we talk about and discuss. Any final thoughts, Brady? So I stop talking?
No, just... Thanks again for watching, and if you haven't seen our first couple episodes, maybe take some time and look over those. So, thank you very much.
Yeah, actually, they should definitely watch the first one, because next week, our Devastation release comes out, so that way we can prove our theory, or be totally humiliated and be wrong. But, one of those two options.
Yeah, I'm starting to think that humiliated might be the more likely of the two. So, but it'll be good.
Fair enough. Well, I'm Josh.
And I'm Brady.
And this has been the Stormcrow Show. Over and out.